Hello everyone, my name is Asyrafchazz and welcome back to yet another One Piece card game video. So we've talked about the red cards, now we're moving on to the green cards from OP-02. The full card list has officially been out. I have a link to the official One Piece card game website where you can take a look at all the cards yourselves, but for the purposes of this video we're going to take a look at every single green card and talk about what is the ones that are great, what doesn't really work, and talk about what we expect to see in the metagame moving forward. So hopefully this Friday I will get my product in time and I'll be posting my first opening video on Friday itself, and hopefully doing a live stream where I can just open up the boxes so you can kind of see what goes in this set and also take a look at some of the cool alternate arts that we might pull. So keep a lookout for that happening on Friday, so look out for that. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like and subscribing if you want to keep up to date with more One Piece card game content. Now without further ado, let's take a look at all of the green cards from OP-02, the Paramount War. Alright, so we just took a look at all the red cards, now we're going to take a look at all the green cards. So let's take a look at Kinemon, our green leader, 5000 power with 5 life. Now we've talked about all the leaders in depth, so you want to take a look at that. There is a specific video that you can look on the channel. But for the instance of this video, let's just talk about the effects. So Kinemon, activate main once per turn. If you have 1 or less characters, the next time you play a Land of Wano type character card with a cost of 3 or more from your hand during this turn, the cost will be reduced by 1. So we've talked about like the high role play for this deck, which is if you're going second, turn 1 you can play Okiku, and then turn 2 with 4 Dawn up you can play the secret rare Yamato from OP-01, which is a pretty high roll start and a very strong start for Kinemon for sure. Whether or not Kinemon will definitely see some play, I'm pretty sure a lot of cards, a lot of people like Kinemon and like the whole Land of Wano Odin strategy. So definitely we'll see some play this leader for sure, just not sure how prevalent it will be in the metagame moving forward. Now let's talk about Sanji. So Sanji is our green-blue leader, 5000 power with a striker attribute with 4 life. Once per turn, when you play a character with no base effect from your hand, that means like vanillas essentially, if you have 3 or less characters, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. So if you're going to be playing a vanilla-centric deck, like you play a 3 cost 5000 powered vanilla onto the field, you get 2 of your Dawns back as active. I think Sanji will be quite good, and you can kind of like spam out your vanillas, attack your opponents into it, do it all over again and still keep like resources up with some really strong event counters that we're going to take a look at later on as well. I'm really excited to see how well Sanji will do in the metagame. Right now I'm a little bit mixed on it because I am a fan of like Whitebeard, I'm a fan of Garp, but I know people will definitely play Sanji because it's my boy Sanji, right? Diable Jambe's all the way. So anyway, let's take a look at the first green card of OP-02, or the first green character card from OP-02, which is Inuarashi. 3 cost 4000 power to slash your attribute with counter 1000, part of the Ming's, Land of Wano, and the Akazaya 9. His effect is, if all of your Dawn cards are rested, this character cannot be removed from the field by your opponent's effects. So, you know, in a world where you are tapping out, then your opponent can't easily get rid of Inuarashi, but you can definitely, I mean, they can still attack into it. So it's not really a super strong effect. I don't think that this is gonna warrant a lot of play. It might fill up the cards in the Kinemon strategy, but it's okay. It's an okay card. That's what I think it is. Next up, we have the Straw Hat, the green Straw Hats with the film subtype. This is like Straw Hats from the film Red. 3 cost 5000 power with the range attribute, so that's pretty cool, with counter 1000, and it's just a 3 cost 5000 vanilla. It's good with Sanji. You can use this with Sanji as a leader, so that's pretty good. Next up we have Carrot, 5 cost 5000 power, the special attribute with counter 2000 and part of the Ming's. Her ability is at the end of your turn, set up to 1 of your Dawn cards as active. Now we've seen this kind of card effect in the form of Denjiro, and I think it's quite decent, but Denjiro is like 2 Dawns, this is only 1. So it might extend some plays a little bit, leave yourself up some Dawn for counters, and the fact that she has 2000 counter, you know, definitely has a place in some decks for sure. Alright, now let's talk about Odin. Now this is Kozuki Odin, a character card that deserves to be talked about 8 cost, 8,000 power with the Slasher attribute, part of the land of Wano and Kozuki clan. And his effect is activate main once per turn, pay 3. You may rest a specific number of Dawn cards in your cost area. Set this character as active. If that sounds familiar to you, it's almost like Eustace Kid leader's effect, except you don't have to discard a card. It's just on there. And his second ability is on KO, play up to 1 green land of 1/0 type character card with a cost of 3 from your deck, then shuffle your deck. Not even from your hands, from your deck. So it's really good. So like, let's talk about the first effect first. Paying 3 just to restand Kozuki Odin and attacking again is a great effect. I mean, Odin is like that. This is what I wanted, you know. When I long ago, like really like in the early days of this channel, I made a kind of like a card talking about what I would want from Odin. And Odin's specialty is like a 2-sword type fighting style, right? Meaning that he should be attacking twice. And I'm glad that there is a card that represents Odin that is him attacking twice. This is a great card. This is a card that I would definitely want to see the top of any top-end green decks because it's a strong finisher. You can play it alongside the 8 cost Eustace Kid if you want. I love this card. I think it's strong. This is definitely going to make all the Odin decks or the Kinemon decks worth playing just by having him alone, or for that matter, any green decks moving forward. I mean, Eustace Kid would love to have this card for sure. I mean, with okay, with a full set of 10 Dawns, with Kozuki Odin already on your field, ready to be attacked, you just need to set aside 6 Dawn, okay, for the respective like activations of your Eustace Kid leader and Odin. Then you have like 4 Dawns to play with. You can put 2 Dawns onto Kozuki Odin, making him 10,000. You can put 2 Dawns onto your leader, making him 7,000, and both of them can attack twice, meaning you have 2 attacks with 7k and 2 attacks with 10k. That's 4 total attacks that your opponent has to deal with. That is the next thing that you have to kind of get ready for, because this card is really good. I can go on and on without Odin, but I won't. This card is good. Play it. And if it dies, you get a free Okiku on your side of the field, or even an Izo that you can use to rest one of your opponent's characters or blockers. So very good card. I love Kozuki Odin. Can't wait to get this card as well as the alternate art for sure. Can't wait to see it. Next up, we got Kozuki Toki, 1 cost, 0 power with the Wisdom attribute with counter 1000, part of the land of Wano and Kozuki clan. If you have a Kozuki Odin character, this character gains blocker. Also works if you have a Yamato on your side of the field, because it is considered a Kozuki Odin card. I just don't like that it is a situational blocker. Might as well you just play like Capone Gang Beige instead. I'm not really liking this card, so let's just move on. The art is excellent, by the way. I just wish its effect might be. This could have been a Nami, like a 1 cost land of Wano Searcher or something, but didn't go that way. So anyway, all right. Next up, we have Shishi Lian, 2 cost, 3,000 power with the Slasher attribute with counter 1000, part of the Mings, and his abilities on play. Pay 2 Dawn, set up to one of your Ming type character with a cost of 5 or less as active. Now, if there's like a Ming type sub trait that you can use one of the green leaders with, I think this is actually quite good. You can use it to put like Carrot onto active again and then attack with it, just at the cost of like 4 Dawn, playing Shiselin and attacking and using his ability. So that could be quite interesting to see in the future. There's like a Ming deck that might come out with all of these cards. So there we go. Next up, we have my boy Jinbei, 2 cost, 4,000 power with the Striker attribute with counter 1000, part of the Film and Fishman and Straw Hat crew. Works well with Sanji. I wish Jinbei had better cards, man. I really do wish that Jinbei had a really strong finisher. Maybe down the line when we have a Fishman Island specific set. But yeah, okay, this is cool. This is cool. Next up, we have Chopper, 2 cost, 2,000 power with the Wisdom attribute with counter 2,000, part of the Film, Animal, and Straw Hat crew. This effect is Dawn 1 when attacking, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. This card kinda good because it has counter 2,000. Not sure if the effect is, you know, worthy to be played, but it's a green Straw Hat character card that can be searched by another card which we'll talk about later on. Yeah, I think Chopper might have a place. Gotta wait and see. Now we're gonna talk about some of the stronger cards from this line of like the Film, Heart Pirates, Straw Hat Crew Pirates. Starting with Trafalgar Law, 2 cost, 3000 power with the slasher attribute, with counter 1000, part of the film Supernovas and Heart Pirates. And his ability is activate main, pay 1, you may return this character to the owner's hand and play up to 1 character with a cost of 3 from your hand. So Law, once again, doing Law things. Will he see some play in Red Green Law? I'm not sure. He could potentially could. But it's a really cool line that we'll talk about later on, that has Trafalgar Law in it. So we'll see the full card list first and we'll talk about it. But I think Law is pretty decent. Any card that lets you, like, any card effects that let you return cards to your hand and play something else, would definitely see some play in the future. Next up, we have Nami, and this is by far one of the strongest cards in the entire set for sure. I'm talking about the entire set, not talking about power wise, but the effect is just really good. First of all, Nami, 3 cost, 5000 power with the special attribute, part of the film and Straw Hat Crew, and her ability is on play as well as when attacking, you may pay 1. Then look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 film type card other than Nami and add it to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. This card is a searcher. Yes, it's a 3 card searcher only, but it's so good because you can play it, use it immediately, or you can attack with it and then use it as well. And this card and all this green Straw Hat cards single-handedly makes Red Green Luffy a viable deck again. I have seen Red Green Luffy being played with all these film decks with the 7 cost Luffy that we're going to talk about later on as the top end. It's so good. You can attack with Nami, use her ability, use Red Green Luffy's effect to make her active again and attack again and then search again. So you can kind of keep adding cards to your hand and refilling your hand that way. This card also works great in Blue Green Sanji if you need it to, because it looks for like specifically film type cards, and a lot of the vanillas that we've seen are from the film type archetype. So this is definitely gonna be a really strong card in the future. And given that she is a super rare, it's most likely that we're gonna have an alternate art of this Nami. So get your wallets ready, gang. It's gonna be another one of those situations where we have an expensive alternate art Nami, super rare, hashtag waifu text. You'll know it's gonna happen for sure. Alright, next up we got Robin Chuan herself. Nico Robin, 3 cost, 4000 power with the striker attribute with counter 1000. Part of the film and Straw Hat Crew, and her ability is on play. Play up to 1 film or Straw Hat Crew type character card with a cost of 2 or less from your hand. And you know, it's good because you can play Robin and then you can play Law out for free. And there's a whole like chain of sequence that we'll see later on that has Robin and Law in it. So let me just show you. Let me talk about all the other cards first. But before that, this is Nekomamushi, 3 cost, 4000 power with the slasher attribute, part of the Mings, Land of Wano, and the Akazaya 9, and it has blocker. I really like this card's artwork. I feel like, you know, it could have been a really sweet effect, but the fact that it's a blocker, I think it's fine. Love the artwork, by the way. Next up we have Frankie, 5 cost, 7000 power, vanilla with counter 1000. Nothing to write home about, so let's move on. Then we got Brooke. Now this is also another piece of that puzzle. 4 cost, 5000 power with the slasher attribute with counter 1000. Part of the film and Straw Hat Crew. This ability is on play. Play up to 1 film or Straw Hat Crew type character card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. So you can play down Brooke, and then you can play down Nico Robin, and then you can play down Law. So once again, the chain just keeps adding. We got one more piece of the puzzle, which we'll see later on, and it is none other than Monkey D. Luffy. This is such a great top end for green. Also for Red Green Luffy, 7 cost, 7000 power with the striker attribute, part of the film Supernovas and Straw Hat Crew. He has a blocker, which is so good, and his second ability is on play. Play up to 1 film or Straw Hat Crew type character card with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. So what you do is you play Luffy, you drop down a Brooke, you drop down a Nico Robin, and then you play a Law, you use Law's ability, you bring it back to your hand, and then you play out your Nami. And if you have an extra Dawn, might as well just use the effect. You can see how fast you can build your entire board just with 1 Monkey D. Luffy and the rest of the cards in your hand. It's so good. I really can't wait to see Red Green Luffy coming back into play in the metagame because of these cards. You can use it in Red Green, you can use it in Sanji as well. Any green based deck would work as well, but I think Red Green Luffy, because of how well it works with that Searcher Nami, is definitely going to be one of the things that we have to respect in the future. Really excited for it. So once again, the One Piece card game just says like, you know what, screw it, spoilers. So I'm sorry if this is a spoiler for you, but this is Yamato, 4 cost, 6000 power, the striker attribute, part of the land of Wano. So Yamato has the ability of also treat this card's name as Kozuki Odin, according to the rules. And Yamato has the ability of on play, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less. I think it's really good. We've seen like even Izo being played to rest some of your opponent's blockers or character cards. So having a 4 cost 6000 power card with this effect definitely will see some play in the future. Definitely, I think this card is really quite good. Next up, we have Zoro, a 4 cost 6000 power slasher vanilla with counter 1000. Now you can use Zoro in a Sanji leader deck. So Zoro has to do Sanji's bidding for at least in the One Piece card game. So that's pretty funny to me. Yeah, it's a decent card. I mean, what else to say? It's 4 cost 6000 power vanilla. Next up, we have Wanda, 2 cost 3000 power, the slasher attribute with counter 1000. Part of the Mings, and her ability is on play up to 1 Ming type character card other than Wanda with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. So another one of those cards where you play something and you play something out. Not sure if we'll see this card being played specifically. We gotta wait to see if there's any Ming type decks that actually come out in the metagame moving forward. Alright, next up we have 3 Sword Style Onigiri. It's a 3 cost event card with counter up to one of your leader or character cards gain plus 6000 power during this battle, then play up to 1 character card with a cost of 3 or less and no base effect from your hand, which essentially means play a 3 cost vanilla from your hand onto the field. And the triggered ability is rest one of your opponent's leader or character cards with a cost of 5 or less. So let's talk about the counter effect first. Now 3 costs for a counter is kind of high cost, but with Sanji's ability, when you play vanillas, you get 2 dons back. You can leave yourself more dons to work with, which is why this card really works really well in that deck. And the fact that you can kind of play another vanilla and extend your plays for the next turn is actually really quite good as well. And the triggered ability is like if your opponent is kind of going in for the kill, use that skill leader attacking into you, you can, if the first attack hits into this and it's in your life, you can just rest the leader, so you don't have to worry about that. Or alternatively, you can just rest a character card as long as it costs 5 or less. So I really like this card. I think it's really quite good. Gonna be seeing a lot of play in the Sanji deck for sure. I mean, I do see a place of this card in that deck, so definitely good. Next up, we got Diable Jambe Venation Shoot. Sorry if I'm butchering that middle part right there, but this is a 2 cost event card with a main ability of KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 4 or less. Straight removal in green as long as it's rested, which green can do. I think it's a strong card. And its triggered ability is play up to 1 character card with a cost of 4 or less and no base effect from your hand. So once again, playing into that blue-green Sanji strategy, I think it's quite good. And the fact that the triggered ability can play out with Zoro is kind of funny to me. So yeah, this is a card that will definitely see play in the future. You can use it to kind of rest something like Izo or Nekomamushi, and then use this to just get rid of it. Get rid of the early Nico Robins or like even blockers or searchers. It's great. Next up, we got Paradise Totsuka. Main ability is rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. I mean, if you have Oden on your field, you can use this to kind of just rest your opponent's blockers. I don't see any downside for this. And the triggered ability is KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 3 or less. So definitely really quite good. I mean, it's like Straw Sword, but a little bit more specific, but it's only 1 Dawn. So I don't think it's that bad. I think it's actually quite good and works well with like an Odin character that you have like ready to go. So there you go. And last but not least, this is Land of Wano. This is the Wano stage card. A 1-cost stage card, part of the Land of Wano, and the ability is activate main. You may trash one Land of Wano type card from your hand and rest this stage, then set up to one of your Dawn cards as active. I think the stipulation for this it essentially means like trash one card, rest this, get one Dawn back. I don't think it's that powerful. I don't know, I'm not really that high on this card for sure. It feels like a lot of work for such little return, and having cards in your hand is more important unless you really need that Dawn to kind of extend your plays or to leave some Dawn up for counter or to use with like the previous card, which is Paradise Totsuka. Then maybe there's a place of it in the Odin deck or even like in the Kinemon deck. But I mean, if you're using Odin as a leader then you don't really need this. So that's what I think. But anyway, there it is, another stage card in green. Bandai did not forget about stage cards. That's great. Alright, there you go. Every single green card from OP-02, some really strong ones, I think. First of all, Kozuki Odin character card. That's definitely gonna be one of the great big finishers coming from the OP-02 metagame, as well as that Searcher Nami. Gonna be a problematic threat to deal with for sure, because if you kind of get it out of control, especially in like red-green Luffy, it's gonna keep getting cards and refilling cards in the hand. It's gonna be a huge problem that you have to deal with for sure. I'm excited for the prospect of red-green Luffy being good again. I mean, there are some deck lists that are making it work, but with this added new cards in green that work really well with his ability, I think it's like I can't wait to see the list for it. I can't wait to see people playing with it, and I'm excited. I'm glad I got the alternate art, and I'm really quite glad. Anyway, that's it for me for today. I'll be posting the rest of the colors soon in the coming few videos, so keep a lookout for it. If you wanna see me open some boxes of OP-02, hopefully by Friday we'll have some. Box opening will be on the midnight, and then maybe a live stream later on in the day. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.